Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us at the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling, IACAC. Today, you're going to hear some incredible New England schools, but just real quick before we get kicked off today. So to engage with our lovely panelists today, how you're going to ask questions is you're going to use the Q&A button, and you're going to just throw the questions in. My advice would be that as we have multiple schools today, if you could put in just like Ashley and then put your question, or Vermont in your question, that would just help them as we're going through the presentation as they answer your questions. So your microphone and camera are off. So the only way you can engage with us is through questions. So please use that Q&A. You can also sign up for more sessions like this one. You can go to IACAC.org, and you can also see some incredible recordings there if you maybe missed one you wanted to see. And also like this one today will also be available. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off to Ashley to take over the presentation, and enjoy, everybody.
Hey everyone, welcome to our session talking about some really cool schools up in New England. The three of us that are here today, my name is Evan, I'm from the University of New Hampshire, and I will let Ashley and Megan introduce themselves real quick as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan O'Rourke, I'm from Providence College.
Hi everybody, my name is Ashley Brown. I serve as a Regional Associate Director in the Office of Admission at the University of Vermont.
Great. So we can go to the next slide, Ashley. So just some quick facts about New England we thought we'd love to share. These are obviously much more fun facts than you might imagine. Did you know that New England itself, the 6 states that make up New England, is only a little bit bigger than the whole state of Washington? And it is true that there are some ranches in Texas that are bigger than the state of Rhode Island. So
really?
Yeah.
So who knew?
It's crazy how small and closely interconnected New England is. The state of Maine, with all of the islands and the vast ocean, actually has more miles of coastline than California. New England is home to 8 of the U.S. presidents that we've seen. And Rhode Island has 20% of the historical markers in the United States. So New England is littered with historical places and markers and places you think of like Boston or Portland, Maine, and Providence, Rhode Island, all these places with cobblestone sidewalks and brick streets and beautiful brick architecture, as you see actually in all 3 of our backgrounds here, here in New England. The first potato that was planted in the United States was actually in Londonderry, New Hampshire in 1719. So for all you potato lovers out there, you're welcome. New Hampshire has that for you in the bag. Vermont, if you like pure maple syrup on those pancakes, there's a chance it's imported from Vermont out there in the Midwest. Over 500,000 gallons of maple syrup are produced in Vermont each year. The first public library located in New Hampshire, founded in 1833. And New England has tons of colleges and universities, over 250 colleges or universities, educational centers located here in New England. So some of us just miles away from another, or even steps away that you might find in places like Boston or Providence. Tonight we're focusing on 3 specific schools up there in New England. As you can see in the map of New England here, you have Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Those are our 6 New England states. Right next to us in the west, you'd find New York. So if you need to have a little geographical expansion, New York is right there bordering Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So quickly listed here, just the cities that we call home: Providence, Rhode Island, Durham, New Hampshire, and Burlington, Vermont. And as you can see, very different locations on the map there as well. The University of Vermont, located right on the lake up there in Burlington. The University of New Hampshire in a classic New England college town close to the ocean, and Providence, Rhode Island in a really great, fun, artsy city in Providence, Rhode Island. So The airports that you may find yourself looking at to fly into are located right there on the slide as well. Most of our students will look to fly to come either visit or when they need to make their way home.
Love it. I love the fun facts, Evan. I think that was great. And the reason that we're sharing kind of just some general facts about New England and kind of where we're located is just to give students context when it comes to what all is available to you and the opportunities available to you out our way. You know, the three of us represent schools that travel to the Chicagoland area, that travel all over the state of Illinois, that travel all over the Midwest with the intent of hopefully providing students a better understanding of the things that we provide in terms of the schools that we represent, but also kind of the area that we represent, because I think New England is really historical, but it has a lot to offer, and it's really accessible. So at the point that you're able to come visit, we obviously would love to have you on each of our campuses. I'm going to kick everything off and give you some just general information about Providence College. Like I said, my name's Megan O'Rourke. Like Ashley, I am actually regionally based. So Ashley and I live in the Chicagoland area. I work with students from all around the Midwest in kind of their path to get them to PC. So as Evan mentioned, Providence, the city, which is where I usually like to start when I talk about Providence College, is really historical. It's one of the oldest cities in the country, and your fun fact about Providence is that it is the largest city in the smallest state in the US. So there you go. We are about 2 miles away from city center, from the downtown area, so less than a 10-minute drive will get you from campus to downtown. The campus, as you can see in this slide, very much looks and feels like a traditional college campus, lots of red brick. You can see the building behind me kind of matches the one that you're looking at. Ashley, if you can move to the next slide for me. I think to me, the balance or the kind of the appeal of PC is partially due to the fact that we are in the city of Providence. There are 8 college campuses, 32,000 college students, so many different universities and schools represented in our tiny state. And the city itself, I think, like Evan mentioned, it's a really artsy city. To me, it has almost a small town vibe in that it feels really accessible, but it has kind of all the vibrancy and culture of a larger city like Chicago, for example, like St. Louis, like Milwaukee, like Indianapolis. And so I think for students that are coming from the Midwest, they're not going to feel super out of place because that transition is going to be a little bit easier for them. If you want to, yep, great. So fast facts, just some quick numbers and stats about PC. We were founded in 1917, so we're actually kind of newer when it comes to schools that have been founded in New England and along the East Coast. One thing that I think people know us for is that we were founded by and currently still run by Dominican friars. So that's where our mascot comes from. That's where our colors come from. For those unfamiliar, the Dominican friars are kind of an order within the Catholic Church. So we are a Catholic institution, we're a private school. And one of the things that they're known for is education. Now, there are other Dominican schools in the country, but we are the only ones that were founded and run by the friars, if that helps kind of provide that distinction. PC is technically a mid-sized school. Now, we're on the small end of the range of medium-sized institutions. We have just under 4,200 undergraduate students, and our total enrollment is just under 5,000. So size-wise, it's super manageable. Our average class size is 22. I think students that are looking for a place that is bigger than their high school, but not too big, this provides that really great balance. One thing that I am very proud of is our retention rate, which you'll see at the bottom of the screen. 91% of our students return to PC after freshman year. And I think that speaks to the kinds of experiences and the kinds of opportunities available to them as part of their life on campus. Let me transition and talk about the academic part of life at PC, because I think that's why you're going to school. That's kind of the first part that people look at. This is going to be your list of majors and minors broken down by the schools. So PC is a liberal arts school. We have the School of Arts and Sciences, the School of Business, and the School of Professional Studies. Just as a quick aside, professional studies sometimes means different things at different places, but for us, it's where our health policy and management, education, and social work programs are housed. when people ask, you know, what is PC popular? Like, what are majors that are popular at PC, or what's PC known for? There's slightly different answers, but generally speaking, I think popular majors at Providence are going to be business, psychology, health policy and management, education, those kinds of things, you know, the kind of bigger parts to life on campus. And then things that maybe we are known for, but maybe aren't as popular would be our Public and Community Service Studies program. It was the first of its kind in the country. We have a pretty robust studio art program and an awesome fine arts program, just not necessarily things that are as popular or as large as the bios and the businesses and the psychologies of the world. Now, I think the one thing to point out about all of these majors and the combinations that students might kind of pick up along the way, the double major, the major and the minor, we have a core curriculum that's required of all of our students. That's pretty typical for a liberal arts school like Providence College. Those classes are not going to preclude you from double majoring or minoring or whatever you'd like to do, but those skills are important to us in your growth and development throughout your time on campus. And those are really the skills that employers look for, which is why we want to ensure that those classes play a part in your academic experience while you're with us. Now, if you're looking to study abroad, you're looking to do research, you're looking to do internships, all of those things are available. And we encourage students to kind of supplement their time outside of the classroom with these things. I think it's important that students know that our kind of philosophy on all of this is that your growth and development, you're growing into the person you're supposed to become, and we want to provide you experiences where you can learn in a variety of ways, right? The classroom is definitely where it's at when it comes to your academic learning, but you're going to learn a lot about yourself, a lot about others, the world around you through research and internships and studying abroad. So we really encourage students to take advantage of those things while they are with us. That's not the only place where learning happens though, right? Like, you're a part of this community, you live on campus for 3 years while you're a student at Providence. And so the learning then kind of takes place in a variety of different ways in the student life aspect. So for us, we have over 120 student organizations. There's lots of stuff to do on campus. There are club sports, there are intramurals, service is really big at PC, campus ministry is really big at PC, student government. And I think these are ways in which students can get involved, get acclimated to campus, meet new people, and kind of hone in on what they're passionate about and what they're excited about outside of a classroom setting, just like you're doing now in high school, right? But as a part of our school community, the encouragement to kind of fill your time is important to us, because we know that, especially for students looking at PC from farther away, that's really how you kind of get past that feeling of being homesick, and you really start to feel like PC is home, okay? So I think I'd like to talk a little bit now about the admission process, just to give you a sense of where we're at, and then I'm going to hand it over to Evan. We are a test optional school. We've been Common App exclusive for a very long time, and we've been test optional for a long time. So in a lot of ways, our admission process really hasn't changed for this year specifically. So when we go to review an application with the Common App, with your transcript, with all these things, there's some big kind of focal points that we're going to consider. We're going to look at your academic record, specifically the kind of high school you attend, the kinds of opportunities available to you, what you took advantage of. So the strength of your classes, what your overall academic record is, are there trends in your grades and that kind of thing. And then we kind of look at the kind of rest of the parts of the application. The academic review is the most important, because your academic record in high school is the single greatest predictor of academic success in college. So that's really kind of the quantitative piece that we consider in the review. From there, your essay, your letter of recommendation, and your activities play a part in the rest of the review process and kind of show us who you are kind of outside of the classroom. We get to hear from you in your own words. That essay is such a great piece to the application. And then lastly, we get to hear about you from someone else's perspective. So all of these things kind of round out to show us a more complete picture of you as a student. And we make decisions based on kind of that holistic review, which is that's what that term means. Deadlines for us are going to be pretty straightforward. You can see them on the screen. We have early action, regular decision, and then we do offer early decision as well. So we match the deadlines up. So November 1st and January 15th are the 2 dates you have to know for application decision or application deadlines for us. Decisions come out then as timely as we can make them. So if you apply early action, you're going to hear by kind of mid to late December. If you apply regular decision, you'll hear in March. Early decision is a little bit different. It's a binding application process. It's a little bit more intensive than the other application processes. And that's definitely something you'll want to check in with me about as you consider your options and what's kind of important to you in the process. So I always encourage students to have that conversation with me because it is a little bit different than the other two. And then last but not least, you can see some of our financial aid deadlines. Financial aid is important to us in that as a Dominican and a kind of a mission-driven institution, we want to provide the support that students need to be able to get to PC successfully. We've made some adjustments to our financial aid process. So if you're interested, I'm happy to share more about all of that later, but I'm going to pass it along to Evan to share more about New Hampshire.
Great, thanks, Megan. And as we go through these, it is funny to see the similarities between some of our process and kind of our schools. So my name is Evan. I'm one of the assistant directors from the University of New Hampshire. I'm based on campus here in Durham, so I'm actually an hour ahead of everyone. It's pretty dark here at this point looking outside. So I graduated from the University of New Hampshire in 2014 and have absolutely loved working in the admissions office now. So we can go to the next slide, Ashley. As just a background, UNH is on the larger side of the medium-sized institutions. We're about 13,000 undergraduate students. We have 2,500 graduate students in our graduate school programs. And then one thing that we always really like to point out is where our students come from. We are a public flagship university, meaning like the U of I that you can think of. Here in New Hampshire, we are the larger public university. However, where we differ in some of those stereotypical flagship university ways, and Ashley, I think, is going to talk about this as well, is that most of our students are coming from out of state. The majority of our students are coming from outside of New Hampshire, bringing in some really great perspectives and different backgrounds. So you'll see that 46% in-state number. We also have about 5% of our students coming from international as well. So 48 states represented, over 70 different countries are where our international students call home. Students really coming from all over. We have 5 college divisions on campus, and this is really focusing in on our academic offerings. UNH offers over 150 different majors and programs, everything from A to Z, accounting to zoology, and everything in between. The College of Liberal Arts is our largest college on campus. They have a lot of majors focused in the humanities, our English department, psychology, sociology, and things like that. Our College of Life Science and Agriculture, the College of Health and Human Services, the College of Engineering and Physical Sciences, and our Paul College of Business and Economics. Many of them are pretty self-explanatory as like what types of majors exist there. UNH attracts both types of students. Those of you who know exactly what you want to do, and those of you who might be still questioning what track you want to take. Every single college division has an undeclared option where you can come in knowing you might want to do something in the sciences, but maybe not exactly sure if it's biology or biomedical sciences or animal science. We can take care of that for you. Our advisors work really closely with students to help them really hone in and drill down exactly what type of major or program you're looking for. We can move to the next one. UNH is a land, sea, and space grant status institution. That might seem like some pretty high-level stuff to think about. What this means is that UNH is receiving grant money from many different areas of the US government or organizations around the country and around the world to conduct research that is looking to make the world a better place. Our land grant status was how we were founded. We were founded in 1866 as one of the country's original land grant universities, and then realized as we kind of developed and became who we are today, that there were important things that UNH could take hold in, looking at issues in the oceans, and then working with places like NASA and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, to develop a space grant status. So on campus, there's research happening at the undergraduate level, really hands-on programs that allow you to get your hands dirty and get you excited about your content area. UNH builds satellite structures for NASA on campus, and we send our students down to Cape Canaveral in Florida to watch the launch of those programs. Last year, NASA granted over $180 million to UNH to get started on a project looking at rising sea levels, rising temperatures of the ocean, and ocean acidification. And so while that might not have a huge impact to those of you out there in the Midwest, for the high percentage of people in the country that live in our coastal zones, that's some really important research that's happening. Our undergraduate research conference is one of the largest and oldest in the country, and over 2,000 of our students participate in that conference each year. So a really great way to really get your hands dirty and get you excited and involved in the content of your major early on in the process. Student life is obviously really important. You're coming to UNH to not only study at a top-notch research institution, but there's other things going on campus outside of the classroom. We are a residential campus community, so 96% of our first-year students will live on campus. You're never required to live on campus. However, most of our students will live on campus in their first and second year, and then explore some options outside of that later on. Dining, athletics are really big parts of our life on campus as well. There's over 250 student-led organizations. Really, when you come here to UNH, you're looking at a small New England college town, but large-scale research opportunity. Access in and out of Boston with an Amtrak train service. Every day, there's 6 round trips on that Amtrak train service in and out of Boston and north up to Portland, Maine. So some really great ways to engage in our area and within the campus community. So the application process, real quick, we have 2 application processes, early action or regular decision. Neither are binding processes. So early action simply means you apply early to UNH, we read your application early, we get you a decision back usually by early January, if not a little sooner. Regular decision, that's just for those of you that might not be ready to submit the application by November 15th, that's totally fine. We read applications in the order in which they become complete. So if you apply closer to November 15th, but not necessarily by that date, you can still expect a decision pretty early on in the process. The components of our application, we're on the Common Application or the Coalition application. Both are online application platforms. We do not have a preference of which one you choose. Most of our students will use the Common Application to apply. Your transcript will be the most important piece of the process. I've been working, coming out to the Chicago area and all throughout Illinois for the last 5 years and really trying hard to get to know your schools and the curriculum that's offered there. So it's my job to work with you and your school counselor to really understand what opportunities you've had in school. We're typically looking for a B or a B+ average in your core academic classes because that's what tells us you'll be successful in our classroom here at UNH. We require 1 letter of recommendation, and that should come from a school counselor or a core academic teacher. And just like Providence, we are also test optional. You're eligible for all of our majors and programs and all of our scholarships if you apply test optional. And just a quick review of that, our honors program, our merit scholarships, and all of the majors are eligible to apply as a test optional student. So there's no preference if you choose to submit SAT or ACT scores or not. And we're going to wrap up here, just kind of some numbers we're really proud of. Our first year retention rate of 86% for a public flagship university, we're really proud of that. What I think is really important though are the students who are graduating on time and with a degree that you can utilize. So 96% of our students employed or enrolled in postgraduate education. What I think is important here is that UNH is preparing you really well to leave our campus and our community with the skills, the confidence, and the humility to just go out and change the world. And with that, I'll kind of wrap up and pass it off to Ashley.
All right, Evan, thank you so much. And we will go ahead and, sorry, it looks like, okay, there we go. We will go ahead and chat a little bit about the University of Vermont. And here on the first slide, we've just got some general sort of macro level overview fast facts about the university. So we have about 10,000 undergraduate students at UVM. So that means that your average class size is going to hover around 32 students. That is done purposefully. We really do value that smaller class size in addition to the relationships that students are able to foster with their professors and also those peer-to-peer relationships as well. So you won't have a class larger than around 175 students. I think our largest lecture hall fits around 200 students, but those are rarely at capacity. So the vast majority of your classes at the University of Vermont will be either seminar style, which is our smallest size class, or traditional style, which is capped at 50 students. You'll also see some numbers regarding our in-state versus out-of-state student population. As Evan said, you know, our out-of-state student population is really big. So 73% of our students on campus are from out-of-state. So this is something that is very unique to the University of Vermont. I think if you look at institutions across the country, you'll see that number being a little bit lower. But we do have a number of students coming from the New England area to the University of Vermont to earn their education. And we also have a pretty great interest in the Midwest area and also the West Coast as well. So we are attracting students from all across the country. And all in all, we represent about 47 different states and 67 different countries. We offer over 100 majors at the University of Vermont. Some of our more popular programs include business, psychology, political science, environmental studies and sciences is a really big one, in addition to the health sciences as well. So if you are looking to go into nursing or a pre-med track or any of the health sciences, we're really strong in those majors due to the fact that we have a level 1 trauma center right in the heart of campus. So it's actually the largest trauma center north of Boston. So students are able to get a lot of fantastic clinical work and hands-on opportunities there at the hospital. On the bottom left-hand side of the screen there, you will see all of the colleges and schools that we have at the university. So that's just where all of our majors are housed within these colleges and schools. All right, so I do want to talk a little bit about extracurricular activities at the University of Vermont. We have over 200 registered student organizations on campus, so I like to say that there's something for everybody. So whether you are looking to join a club that is geared towards sustainability or climate change or the environment, which a lot of our students do, there's definitely room for that. We also have clubs geared towards, you know, religious and cultural affiliated organizations as well. So we have room for students to do that as well, and everything else in between. We also have Greek life on campus, but about 10% of our student body is Greek. So about 10% of those 10,000 students I talked about a little bit earlier consider themselves Greek. So there's not an overwhelmingly large presence for Greek life on campus, but if that is something that you're finding yourself wanting to do, there is definitely a small presence for it there on UVM's campus. We also have NC2A Division I athletics. So we have 18 men's and women's teams. And I just love this picture that is on the slide here. You know, it's a picture of our basketball team celebrating a big win. And, you know, it's very commonplace for a lot of our students to be supporting our D1 athletics and going to the games and showing school spirit. And even, you know, for some of you students, if you play sports but don't want to compete at the D1 level, we also have club sports and intramural sports as well. That will give you an opportunity to continue that sport, but not at that highest competitive level. All right, so this slide just talks a little bit about our hands-on experiences for students at the University of Vermont. And learning by doing, we like to say, is a hallmark of a UVM education. So our students are participating in internships and research opportunities, in addition to service learning opportunities to really complement what they're learning in the classroom and really helping the knowledge that they learn in the classroom and make that come to life via these hands-on opportunities. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see some of the recent internships that our students have participated in. And these are some pretty big name companies. So we've got Amazon, Ben & Jerry's, Bose, MTV, NASA, Pfizer. So we have really popular, strong organizations that are coming to the University of Vermont, directly recruiting students via internship and career fairs, or students are also finding these opportunities through their professors, through their academic advisors, and through our Career Center as well. So lots of opportunities for hands-on learning. And, while we definitely value the theory and the lectures that students experience within the classroom, we value just as much those hands-on opportunities that students are able to take part in that just really help to enrich that overall college experience. So this slide talks a little bit about our housing system at the University of Vermont. So all first-time freshmen are required to live on campus for the first 2 years at UVM. And our housing system is really unique in the fact that all first-year students are required to live in a living and learning community in the first year. So all of them are centered around specific themes that are listed here on the screen. So it's really nice in the fact that, we do focus on a holistic education at UVM, and we want students to be in a living and learning community that really hones in on their passion outside of their major. So say, for example, if a student is interested in studying business, but they're also really passionate about sustainability, they'd be able to sign up for the Sustainability Living and Learning Community. They'd be living and learning with other students who have that same shared passion. And those students would also be taking a 1 credit hour course together in their first semester centered around sustainability. There would also be activities that center around that specific theme as well. So students in the sustainability learning community are able to go out into greater Vermont to take a hands-on approach to sustainability as well. So our living and learning communities are a phenomenal way, like I said, for students to hone in on that passion that they have outside of the classroom and to also build that community right off the bat. A little bit earlier in the presentation, I talked about how 73% of our student body is from out of state. And sometimes along with that can come a little bit of anxiety, maybe about making friends, about building that community. So with these living and learning communities, I feel like it's a great way to have that built-in community and to live and learn with students who share the same passions and who are like-minded as well. All right, so this slide talks a little bit about our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus at the University of Vermont. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see that we operate out of 6 core common ground values at the University of Vermont. So these values are not only promoted within the student body, but also with faculty and staff as well. So we are constantly going back to these values and making sure that these values are driving our decisions that we're making and also driving how we are interacting with students and our families and everyone else we have to interact with on a regular basis. So these values are incredibly important to us at the University of Vermont. And we've taken our commitment to our values a step further and integrated them into our curriculum as well. So if you look on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see some education requirements. So in order for a student to graduate from the University of Vermont, they have to fulfill these education requirements. So you'll see that there is a foundational writing and information literacy course, a quantitative reasoning course, a sustainability course, in addition to 2 non-European diversity courses that students have to take as well. So like I said, just furthering that commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion within our curriculum as well. On the top right-hand side of the screen, you'll see some campus identity centers, and these are centers for students who are looking for a smaller community within the larger context of the University of Vermont. That's how I like to explain that. So we have our Mosaic Center for Students of Color. We have our Prism Center for students who identify as LGBTQIA+. We also have our Interfaith Center, in addition to our Women and Gender Equity Center as well. So we have some other centers as well. This is only an abbreviated list, and those centers are listed on our website. But all in all, you know, we want students and families to know that we do have a very strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus, and it is one that we are very proud of. All right, so a little bit about our admissions profile and the admissions process. So you'll see on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, our average GPA that we see from students coming into the University of Vermont hovers just around a 3.7. So in terms of test scores, like Evan and Megan also shared, the University of Vermont is also test optional this year. So, you know, if you choose to submit a test score, it will be added to your application file, but if not, that is okay too. You'll still be considered on an even level playing field for things like academic scholarships, for the Honors College, and just for that strong holistic application review in general as well. But historically, just to give you guys some information, our middle 50% for ACT is a 28 to a 33. Middle 50% for SAT is a 1210 to a 1400. So those are just some historical numbers that we've seen in our admission office. But as Megan and Evan also explained, we also do a holistic review of applications as well. So in addition to your actual application, we look for you to submit your transcripts, a letter of recommendation, we only require one, your essay, we also have an optional essay as well. And those questions are really fun. I always encourage students to do the optional essay, to complete it. For example, we have one question this year, and it asks, what Ben & Jerry's ice cream flavor, real or imagined, best describes you? So a really fun question. I don't have an answer to that question yet. I feel like before the recruitment year is up, I'll need an answer to that question myself. And it's really funny, we have a connection to Ben & Jerry's because Ben & Jerry's was founded in Vermont and they're still headquartered there. And, you know, so we have a little bit of a connection to Ben & Jerry's there. But you know, I share that example to say that, you know, the optional essay really helps us to get an idea and a feel for who you are outside of the classroom, right? So outside of your transcripts and your performance in the classroom and possibly those test scores, if you choose to submit them, you know, we want to get to know you as a student, right? And who you are as a student and how you will fit in on our campus. So completing some more of those supplemental items will definitely help us to get a clear picture of that. In terms of the admission process and deadlines and dates, we have early action and regular decision. So early action deadline is going to be November 1st. Regular decision deadline is going to be January 15th. We don't have a preference as to when you apply. We definitely leave that up to students, and we want you to make that best determination, you know, as to when it's the best time to submit your application. So no preference on our end with that. Students get a merit-based scholarship decision once they are admitted. So once you get your admission decision, you'll also know where you stand in terms of merit-based scholarships as well. And about 87% of our undergrads are receiving scholarships as well. So our scholarships for out-of-state students are going to range from $8,000 and going upwards into $20,000 per year for students who are qualifying for them. So we've got a lot more information on our website about our merit-based scholarships and need-based aid as well. So that concludes my portion of the presentation, and I'll invite Megan and Evan to come back on, and we can field any questions at this time. And we can look in the Q&A. I don't think that we have any at this time.
Alrighty. Well, I also am not seeing any questions, so I'm going to as people maybe get some questions in, I'm going to go ahead and just give some final announcements to everybody. So thank you all for joining us today. When you close out of this window, you will have a quick 4-question survey, so please take that. And then also, please, there are more sessions like this incredible one we saw today with, wow, I'm in a very dark room, I apologize, with the incredible folks over in New England who really showed the incredible interconnectedness that they have. So definitely you can check out and watch their presentation amongst others. And this recording will be available hopefully pretty soon, also at iacac.org. So just a quick check at Q&A. Fortunately, it looks like there aren't any questions at this time, so I think we're going to call it a night. So thank you so much, everyone. Be healthy, be safe. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.